Welcome, everybody, to the Farm to School podcast, where you will hear stories of how youth thrive and children prosper.
When we learn
farmers
how to
prosper. See,
everybody prospers. That's the thing. It's prosperity widely shared.
I was just bragging to Michelle how I got it. No, I have this memorized after so many episodes where youth thrive and farmers prosper when we learn how to grow, cook, and eat delicious, nutritious food, and where the coffee is always on.
I do. I brought Rick some coffee this morning. You're welcome.
I have it in my rider. If you guys know what a rider is, it's what rock groups do when they say they're at a venue. They like, I want Evian water at 38.5 degrees and M&Ms with all the green ones picked out.
Rick has a whole list of
So my writer is always have to have coffee for wherever we're at. So Michelle makes it for me, and
it's good.
I make it
it's
too.
Good.
I make it.
You make it better. I'll be honest. He has lots of flavors that I don't he puts the little chocolate decorations on top and stuff.
I have chocolate whipped cream sometimes.
Yeah,
and
really
do that.
over the top.
And we got all the syrups, and I got an espresso machine at my studio.
So we're derailed only because we're just really excited about this particular episode.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's set this up. So the next bunch of episodes you all are going to listen to, pretty much, are from the National Farm to Cafeteria Conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that just got done in December 2025. Michelle always says 2025.
Let it go.
But
I'm starting. I'm a trendsetter.
Yeah, it's all good. So it's the same year, but so I think she knocked out like 15, 16 some episodes. She did it solo because I wasn't able to travel there.
Not entirely. I had an amazing co-host.
Well, right. So we had a co-host.
But I did have to carry all the equipment, which turns out my arms still hurt. So thank you, Rick, for carrying all the podcast stuff. Usually it's heavy.
There's a lot of equipment we have for this show to make it so awesome.
For you,
the listener. Yes. Thank you. And I know there's listeners now because Michelle kept getting, two people. No, but people kept coming up saying, "Hey, we listen to you all the time." So thank you out there for continuing to support us.
Actually, thank you. We have well over 1,000 regular listeners at less than 2 years of broadcasting.
Regular listeners, because we've had 16,000 hits so far.
Yeah, so thank you all. Yeah. We really appreciate it. And we love hearing your comments and notes and when you're listening and things you want to hear more about. So
anyway, I wasn't able to go to this one. I had my plane ticket bought and everything, but just through work, through a travel ban, I wasn't able to go. But one of our last episodes we did with the Henry Ford, we had one of two guests. One was Christy
Sherding.
Christy Sherding. And she goes, I could come to that. And she was so into this at the time, we just kind of did a spur of the moment thing. And so for all these episodes, we're going to have a guest host, Christy.
She's amazing. She has a background in journalism and, being in museum studies. They are complete storytellers. And the week before this podcast that we were recording, they just released a new documentary, Farm to School Lunch Across America.
I just happened to be on my TV screen and saw it, and I recorded. I haven't watched it yet.
You saw it on TV?
It was on TV. It was on Hulu, whatever channel it was.
That's amazing.
But I'm sure it'll re-air if you have a smart TV and you set it to if you just do a search for the Henry Ford documentary, you'll probably find it. I'm sure it's going to be on YouTube too. We'll put it in the show notes
for sure
if we can find that. But looking forward to seeing that because been really busy. But my gratitude goes out to you, Michelle and Christy, for doing so well. I listened to the first 4 episodes, and I was just like, like we always say, the last one you listened to was your new favorite episode.
Rick says that.
Oh, well, I do. It's so true. There's so many good ones in here, and and the good news is we're going to do this again. We're going to we have plans to go to the School Garden Support Organization one in February.
Yeah,
correct.
2026. I'm practicing
in February.
I guess the main thing in kicking off this whole series of interviews we did at that particular location is I just struck by, in Oregon, we always say like, oh, we were the first. We've spent well over a decade exporting ideas and processes we did. We were the first in the country that had farm to school incentive legislation to pay schools, the grant programs that connected schools and gardens and saw it as a systems approach. We had the position in the Department of Education, the position in the Department of Agriculture, and we're the first state, I believe, that also has a full-time faculty position dedicated just to farm to school in the state. So, a lot of things have had to
faculty position at a state university.
Yeah, at the Extension Land Grant, dedicated to it. Other folks work on it, but it's actually, focused just on that. So, we've been exporting things, and being at this conference, it was so clear to me that in 10 years, people all over the country have piloted, refined, and worked out the kinks to so many, basically, bottlenecks we have. And it's time in Oregon to import. And so with a lot of these podcasts, I was just grabbing folks that I was like, oh, what could we do in Oregon?
Yeah.
It was a little selfish, but it's also to help all of us. I think it was Deb Eschmeyer who would say, oh, it's R&D. We do R&D, rip off and duplicate.
That's not how I remember R&D stood for.
But in the farm to school movement, it does. Like raise all ships, work together.
Adapt. We don't steal, we adapt things to our own needs.
Well, we help each other. So anyway, that's what a lot of, that's why I'm really excited to re-listen to these podcasts and mine them for
we'd love
ideas.
to talk to them all. I mean, there's 1,000 people there at the Farm to Calf, or 2,000.
We'll talk to 1,000 people.
But I mean, they all have a great story, and that's what happened when I did this the other year in San Diego, when we were just grabbing people, and there's never a story that's not cool. Now, this one was so cool because your very first episode, you happened to get two dear friends,
yes,
that we talked to, and one of them I tried to get on the show. I've been trying to get on the show for a year, and she's just so busy. She just doesn't have time. So it was meant to be that you grabbed her. Your very first person you talked to was Betti Wiggins from Houston ISD. She's the food service director. She has a very long past with farm to school, and she'll introduce herself and tell you about that. But her and Bertram Weber, and Bertram is actually our episode. We've recorded him before. It's entitled "It's Not School Lunch, It's Lunch at School," and he's been our most popular, most listened to episode so far.
Of all time.
But Michelle, Betti, and Bertram were on the original advisory committee for National Farm to School Network.
That's true.
And so the old guard, and it was just great listening to them. Yeah. And I pre-screened the episode by listening to it, and just to be a fly on the wall and listen to these three reminisce was so good. But Betti, I mean, I know both these people. I've ate a school lunch in Minneapolis, St. Paul with.
Oh, I've always wanted to. What was it like?
It was the most amazing farm to school meal. Like everything on the meal was local. There was fresh, hand-breaded, oven-baked chicken breasts, and it was amazing. And you'll have to listen to Bertram's episode, but like how he was just the kind of a disgruntled parent and chef, and he just wanted to make change, and he did it.
Yeah,
and
he did.
So there's that. And then Betti, I've met her a couple times. I think the very first Farm to Cafeteria Conference I went to, I think it was 2009 in Detroit. Mm-hmm. I mean, that kind of pushed me over the edge in farm to school, and I realized I wanted to do something with farm to school full time in my life because of that. But I met her there, and I've toured a couple of her schools. I remember seeing we had a school lunch that had fresh asparagus from a school garden there on site. And
I love asparagus.
And I've seen Betti a few times, and she probably doesn't even remember me at a couple of these conferences, but one conference I was speaking at, and she comes up to me afterwards, and she grabs my hand and looks me in the eye and goes, "I would work for you." And that's the biggest compliment I've ever had in my job, to see that person talked to me and like I connected with her. She probably doesn't even remember now, but I'll take her up for that someday. But no, but it's just, she's just such a wonderful person in our, it means so much to us in Farm to School. So it was really, really awesome episode.
Well, and one more thing about all the episodes we did at the National Farm to Cafeteria Conference is that it's the first time ever we had podcasters. So not only the Farm to School podcast, but there were several other podcasters.
There was a gaggle of them, right?
Yeah, it was really neat. And we were set up to our next to our new friends at the Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers. They have a Farming Ugly podcast to check out. And we all asked questions that resonated with our audiences in podcasts, but then also like why they were there with the network. Right. So the main thing is the National Farm to School Network really is the national convener of Farm to School. And so like, everyone, we talked about why that was so important to them. So we really hope you enjoy this series of interviews we did at that conference.
Well, let's listen to the first one. Let's take it away and find out why it's so special.
Well, we're at the National Farm to Cafeteria Conference 2025 and had an amazing reunion with two people in the same area who have never met each other. So who are we here with?
My name is Betti Wiggins. I'm the Deputy Chief of Nutrition for the Houston Independent School District. But my greater claim to fame is I'm a Michigander native. Yay! And I am the retired food service director for Detroit Public Schools Child Nutrition Program.
And you started Farm to School in Detroit.
Yes.
That's when I first met you.
Yes, it was like a labor of love. I have to give so much credit to all the collaborative partners we had. I started through Greening of Detroit, who had an urban agriculture program. And so my friend, Ida Short, who was a school board member at the time, said, let's do something. So what we did was she bought us Christmas presents for the urban agriculture program for 12 weeks. Aww. So, yeah, that's how I got started. So I'm going around and doing because there was so much abandonment in Detroit. There was so much destruction that time that people had left and there was empty lots and everywhere. So urban agriculture was a natural for Detroit. And so Ida and I took the class. And so one day while we were out surveying an empty lot to start our garden, I happened to look up and I saw a school that was on a whole city block. And I said, Ida, why are we over here when we need to be doing something on our own property? And she says, what? I said, let's go over here and start a school. So it was at the William Beckham School on the east side of Detroit. We started our first school garden. And that was in 2012 2011. And then thereafter we had gardens all over the city. And the one that we have now, the one that they have, the one that I left when I left in 2017 was Drew Farms. And if you get an opportunity, talk to Matt Hargis at Drew Farms. Now, here we go.
I'm familiar.
Okay. The story behind Matt Hargis, he was a new college graduate from Appalachia State, North Carolina. I was born in North Carolina, and he grew up in North Carolina, and that's how we met. So he came on as an intern in 2011, 2010, a year. But after I left, he became the program director. So, yeah, so I'm real proud of him and the work that he's done. And he used to be our MacGyver. He would think up stuff. And then, my farm manager was my retired brother, who is now 83 years old. And he worked on the farm because he knew how to drive tractors and all that stuff, because I was raised on a farm in Whitaker, Michigan.
So your passion and background is agriculture?
Livelihood was agriculture. My dad was one of the farmers who came up with the Great Migration, and Mom didn't want us raised in the city, so he had a friend named Ray Kowalski who had Kowalski sausages, and they used to go hunting together, and they had a 40-acre farm up in Washtenaw County. So that's how we got on a farm, and we were raising corn, soybeans, they called them truck gardens at that time.
Truck gardens.
Yeah, because you would literally pick the crops and put them on a truck.
Huh.
It wasn't fancy like it is now.
That's so cool. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, they called them truck gardens.
I love that.
And you just literally, and so Mom had a lot of friends in Detroit who would, Reva's in town and she's bought her produce. And so I was just used to gardening and farming and stuff like that. And so it became very natural to me.
How did you get into child nutrition?
Didn't want to be a nurse.
What do you mean by that?
I started out in nursing school and I don't want to do this. So I wanted to do something closer to community, something I understood. So I registered dietetics, food science and dietetics in Wayne State University, where I graduated from.
Love that. What was your first job after graduating?
My first job was at Henry Ford.
It was at the Henry Ford.
I know. Get in here. This is so good.
I haven't introduced myself to our listeners.
Yeah, I'll do it later, but go ahead.
We'll do it later. Okay.
My first job.
I'm loving this right now. Tell me all about it.
My first job was at Henry Ford Hospital, and one of my patients was Deuce's mother. And we had and that was
you can't see the mouth drop on Christy, but somewhere. No, and we have another guest we haven't even introduced yet.
All these icons sitting
She's
next to us. You are iconic, by the way.
But I mean, that's how. So I remember having to go out to Grosse Pointe because I lived on the east side of Detroit, and I had to go to her favorite ice cream shop and get her ice cream for her.
What was the ice cream? I live in Grosse Pointe. Where's the ice cream shop?
It's like that Main Street, the one where all the signs and...
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
How funny. The world is so small.
Yeah, but I remember, that was my first job, and I was what I was called a dietetic technician.
And you're going out to get ice cream?
But, the thing, that was the Detroit...
Solid dairy and nutrition, protein and...
Yeah, so I got to meet. The one that I really liked was Bill Ford. I planted school gardens with Bill Ford's mom.
You did?
Yes, over at Lions Academy.
What? Martha?
Yes.
With Martha?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! she just turned 100 years old.
I know.
It's incredible. She's still moving around.
Let me tell you, that was the most fantastic time that I had. It was at Lions Academy. They sponsored a school, one of our schools called Lions Academy. Of course, they have a relationship with the Detroit Lions. And in comes this lady in this long black limousine, and she had jeans and a pinstripe and her garden gloves. And Mrs. Ford and I planted gardens in. And what they had did is they bought pizza for the whole community. It was such a day over on the east side of Detroit. So I planted school gardens with Martha. Yeah.
That is fantastic, though.
Yeah.
Again, she's incredible. She's still around.
She was... Ooh, yeah.
I mean,
she is.
That's my dream, to be 100 and walking around with my garden gloves.
Well, she still comes to Firestone Farm at Greenfield Village and has tea twice a year. It's awesome. Yeah, because that's where she grew up, you know, as a little girl, and we have their family home in Greenfield Village.
So who are you? I'm talking to you.
Oh, you want to know who I am? So kind. So we met before, but my name's Christy Sherding. I am the Director of Donor Relations and Engagement at the Henry Ford in Dearborn, Michigan, but I also oversee our edible education programs, one of which was what we were just talking about earlier, our Farm to School Lunch Across America initiative.
Well, I think, one of the things that benefits of farm to school just came so natural. Because if you're from Michigan, you understand farm. You understand. And if you look at how it was, and the great thing that I'm really learning about our state is the history. It's a bunch of Eastern Europeans that came, who bought the farming, who bought the dairy, who bought the cheese making. Those are the things that made us, We have a history of cheese making, Pecani. People don't even realize that, but it was mainly Eastern Europeans, Czechs, Slavs, Romanians, because I was raised in a neighborhood. I was raised in Washtenaw County, and my neighbors were the Wazinskis, the Pavloviches, the Pulaskis, the Kowalskis.
All the skis.
All the skis. And it was dairy country because the barns were connected to the houses. So you would walk there, you go out, a breezeway, and they would, small dairies all over that part of Washtenaw County and Monroe.
And we have had a chance to introduce our other amazing guest.
Well, what can I say after a bit? I'm not sure I can say anything after Betti.
Do you know this guy, Betti?
Sort of, kind of.
Kinda Betti Wiggins.
Yeah,
Betti
you know,
Wiggins.
he had my proxy for years. We were all got involved in the farm to school movement and the different food system change movement. And when I couldn't make a conference, I said, well, Bertram's got my proxy, so whatever Bertram
I was the only person that could control her. Whenever things got out of control, I would get a call from someone and go, "Can you take care of Betti, please? We need to control her."
because I had so much energy. I'm not,
She doesn't have any anymore, as you can tell.
I believe in two meetings. One to decide what we're going to do, to discover the outcomes, talk about the outcome. I just can't, the gradualness of it, food system change is really important to me. Another anecdote, it's not anecdote, it's the truth, is how I really, after we got engaged in urban agriculture, I was in my backyard planting watermelons. And my neighbor's grandson come over and he says, Miss Betti, what are you doing? I said, I'm planting watermelons. He said, oh, Miss Betti, no. I said, what's the matter? He says, don't you know that watermelons come from Kroger's?
You know she has a book called Miss Betti.
Let's hear about it. Where can we get that?
Henry Ford
so
should buy it and put
That's
it
a great
in,
idea.
Put
I'll
it
take
in
it
your,
back home.
But you know what? I'm just telling you. It's about how I changed the food system in Detroit. And I didn't do it by myself. But what's the biggest thing about it? It was done by the University of Michigan, which is the Sleeping Bear Press.
Yeah.
Which is, that just gives me real chills to think that my home state and something I grew up in the shadow of a university, because I was the food service director in Ann Arbor Public Schools as well.
I didn't know you also did that. You were everywhere making all the changes with
She
everyone.
has been everywhere.
Everywhere.
She knows everybody. She's been everywhere. I don't know where she grew up because every state is her home state.
Whitaker, Michigan.
Whitaker, Michigan. That's where I grew up at.
Bertram's 1-to-1, and that's a dream, Christy. I'm hoping we can sell you on is that the Henry Ford does display on Farm to School.
I would love that. I was just telling Betti earlier that I feel like our backyard, our Greenfield Village, is the ultimate edible schoolyard. We've got forward farms, and it's all there. We've got a great edible education
Some of the
learning
reconstructed areas that you have in
It's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I've worked for the Marriott Corporation.
You have been everywhere.
She has. I'm
And you
telling
are
you.
right, Bertram? Well, and something that our listeners don't know here, my heart is like really beating actually, because I know that both of you are nearing closing a chapter on
come
your
on, let's just
professional
call it
careers.
that. I'm old as dirt, and he's probably glass, so old as, but we're durable.
You're durable.
We're very durable.
And I've known you my entire career, that we've been sitting together in boardrooms and sessions.
Have you told that the three of us were part of the original Farm to School Advisory Board?
So
Actually,
I knew
we
Michelle
were
was.
called the Advisory Council. We were not
We're
the board.
advisory council. I've been to more dinners, amazing dinners with you two. And that's why I'm in shock right now. Like 20 years later, here we are at the 2025
If I'm not
conference.
mistaken, I think the first one was in Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a 7-week-old baby.
Oh, I remember now.
He now drives around, calls me Ma, lifts me up. Yeah.
No, it's this whole farm to school thing, and I was so glad when like I said, I give big kudos to Debbie Stabenow. I remember going to a meeting in Frankenmuth. This doesn't mean anything to them, but it means something.
Michigan listeners out
Okay, I
there
have no
know.
idea what you're talking about. Okay.
It's a cute little Bavarian village.
We're going to put it in the show notes. If we don't, we're going to put Betty's book and whatever you just said in the show
Frankenmuth
notes.
is Christmas every
all
year.
64
it's
days.
a Christmas village.
Yeah. And so Debbie Stabenow was having a meeting with Pat Robertson. He was the co-chair, she was the chair. And those two, she called me up, she says, Betti, I'm having a hearing, and I need these farmers to know that there are people in Detroit who really believe in this farm to school and believe in. And so I was there, and I don't know if there was a prop, but I started talking and everything. And they said, oh, well, we got to come. We need to know. So she was a very smart about how she did it. She did a lot for Michigan farmers.
Tremendous amount of work.
An awful. She used to carry around a half a cup in her purse. You know that story?
She's come to quite a few of our events.
The half cup when
What is that?
the USDA introduced that we must serve a half a cup. Betti had a whole campaign with kids having a half cup in their hand saying, this is a half cup of fruit.
Yeah,
This,
I have the picture. I still have the picture.
You have a picture of it.
I have a picture. I was over at Burton International School. So it wouldn't look like everybody's got this idea everything in Detroit is 100% African American. Well, I got this picture, and it has the kids all holding half cups saying, we want our half cup.
When was this? What year?
2014?
2012, 14.
I still have I got the picture on my camera.
You do?
It was
I
the
wanna see it. I wanna
Healthy
see it.
Hungry Kids Act.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so professionally I paid us. So we got to help Debbie. So how can we do it? We got all these kids with half cups, and the principal was there, and was like, we want our half cup. We sent it to 465. We sent it to the senatorial and the congressional legislators, to everybody in Michigan, electronically. To help this idea, we need our half cup. We want our half cup. I still have the picture, and I hold on to it for ever because it was the first.
It's impactful, right? I mean, I think that's really cool.
If you want to talk about farm to school, this picture would be very, very helpful.
We're going to put it in the show notes and in the new display we're building at the Henry Ford.
Yes, we're going to build. You know what? You're not wrong, Michelle.
Yeah,
I
we're
feel
doing
like
this.
if I have
We're doing
anything
this.
to say about it.
Hey, I want to just, because this is such a brief moment in time, with Betti and Bertram, do a back. We are looking at the photo. You can't see it on the podcast, but it's pretty remarkable. A retrospective, looking back almost 20 years, 18 years from the first board meeting, advisory board we were all on.
That's right. I was still at,
Yeah.
That's before me.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I can't remember because I was chairperson of the fundraising. How did
Yep.
I get that job?
Yeah, you were.
I did pretty good.
Because you know everyone.
You were
That's
in
why.
things.
And she's been everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to ask something, but what's the question I want to ask? Like just looking back 20 years, like what do we even say?
I had to, first off, I have to tell Bertram something that he really piqued my interest and really got me to be more aggressive about feeding kids good quality food. When he has a story about how he got into school food, and I mean, people need to hear that because this guy was, not what you would call background, came from typical food service folk. But to hear his story and to hear what he's done in Minneapolis, and I will tell you a lot of that was inspiration for what I did in Detroit. And that is, that's the highest compliment. My mom said you always give people their flowers while they live. You need to know. Well, that's what they say in the black community. You don't do you no good laying in the coffin. Tell you now that, and I really want to thank you for being a friend, being a partner, being a buddy, teaching me how to crush garlic. So,
First French restaurant.
yes, that's what we
He
did.
took you to the first French restaurant.
We spent a whole afternoon going through a menu at a French. We ate our
Drinking
way.
wine, just having a wonderful time.
You guys are sitting here praising each other, and I think Michelle and I need tissue. This is just such a sweet moment to
I needed
witness.
tissue.
Well, we were always, what did she get? How'd she get along with that weird white guy with the ponytail? I'm like,
And she was the crazy African American woman.
We're going to put pictures in the
Is
show
she?
notes.
No, but you could always, and remember the time we got the chicken legs that
With school food focus.
School food focus.
That's right.
The three of us were also on that advisory board.
That's when I got your proxy for that.
That's where you got my
That
proxy.
was-
That's right. We wanted, what, the farm raised chicken legs? What
It
we
was
trying-
for the
Antibiotic.
the Midwest.
Yes, it was the
Midwest menu.
antibiotic-free.
Yes.
Yes.
And we did a Midwest menu.
And the no list. Yeah.
And Detroit didn't have enough kitchens to cook their chicken drumstick. So I work with a local not manufacturer, but anyway, we found someone to cook the chicken
In Missouri.
for Betty.
It was a
In Missouri.
was it a commodity processor? Did you
no.
didn't
No,
because we
it was
never
a-
got that through. I mean, School Food Focus worked so hard on that.
Commercially,
Trying to get that.
the guy cooked us oven roasted chicken legs.
Yeah.
And I was just not gonna give my kids. My kids had to have chicken with a bone in it. about the whole thing of having kids understand what real food looks like. And again, that happened when Bertram started. I started talking to him about his menu and how he designed his menu and the things. And then I took chocolate milk. I took chocolate milk off the menu in Michigan because I said I never saw a cow who delivered chocolate milk.
That was brown, like a brown cow
brown milk,
delivering chocolate milk.
Well, that's where it came
Or
from.
skim milk
For
that
5
matter.
years, the kids never had chocolate milk in Detroit. And they said, well, why are you doing that? I
Dieting
said, because
cows.
my kids needed calories. And when you put chocolate milk on a tray, the first thing they did, and that's not their fault. It had a lot to do with the length of lunch times. That's something that we really need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Giving kids adequate enough times to eat. And I think the PTA could have some impact on that. The PTA had to say, my kid, I sent a lunch to my kid. He takes one bite out the sandwich, and and even if he's a brown bagger, he brings it back home. He said, what happened? Oh, I didn't have enough time to eat. And so I figure I'd take away chocolate milk so I could go to at least the food first. And so we so we have white milk. And now I'm hearing whole milk is coming back. I'm kind of excited, but I don't know if that I'm going to be as a heretic or whatever. But I really like the idea of whole milk coming back because it gives kids choices.
Just like the chocolate milk. I've never seen a cow that delivers skim milk. What comes out of that cow is whole milk.
And I'm going to tell you, I was raised in the country, and I never had pasteurized milk, so I went to the city. So I've had raw milk. Mom, every now and then she would put it on the stove, heat it up just a little bit.
Well,
One of the things that, she talks about the food, but Betty's advocacy, I have used the term the kid at the end of the cul-de-sac. And that picture that Betti painted about, it's not the kid that qualifies for free and reduced that needs the help. It's the one that's forgotten at the end of the cul-de-sac. The one where parents work so hard, but they don't qualify for free meals or reduced meals, and they can't afford to buy any food. That's who needs the help. And that picture of the kid at the end of the cul-de-sac that we forget about has resonated with me forever. So I might have helped Betti put salad bars in her school, but she reminded me every day that everything we do, we need to remember that there is that kid at the end of the cul-de-sac that we forget about. And so for that, I thank you.
Well, thank you for that. But it has started in Michigan. I was in Grosse Pointe. The Junior League of Grosse Pointe invited me out to talk about feeding children. And so, I get in there and I'm like, now they're going to want me to start talking about all these little starving little children on the street corners of Detroit. And I started talking about the kids at the end of the cul-de-sac. And I just painted the picture of the reality, given the kind of economy that we had in Detroit. You could be an engineer making six figures, and all of a sudden you're fired, and all of a sudden you still got that house to take care of, you got insurance payment, and the first thing to go is food. And I had found that out when I was at Costco's, and there was this man from his church buying food. I said, well, where's your church at? And he says, oh, we're at St. Clair Shores. I said, what?
Yeah.
And he started explaining to me that his church had a pantry. So I took that and I started researching some statistics and stuff like that. And it was a woman who stood up and she said, after it was over, because folks don't want to be associated with it, we might need some help. And she told me, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm having a heck of a time feeding myself and my son's family as well. So, I mean, and that's the reason I say meals at no charge. I don't call it free meals. I think CEP, again, thank you, Debbie Stabenow. She need a drum roll for that. And it really wasn't just about feeding poor kids, because at our conscience level, we're going to take care of those kids. But we kind of overlook the kids. I was in Government Medical Museum in Houston, Texas. And I was working with Lisa Helfman, who is the president of Brighter Bites. And we were talking, and I started explaining to her about the kids at the end of the cul-de-sac. And there was this girl, beautiful, little red-headed, green-eyed girl. tears are running down her face as I'm talking. So I said, oh my God. I get off the stage and she hugs me. She says, I'm so glad you talked about the kids at the end of that cul-de-sac. I was one of them. And she explained to me how her mother and father had gotten a divorce and mom was trying to get child support, yada, and they just didn't have enough money. And if it had not been for the school lunch program, that she got her school breakfast in school, and they're living up in River Oaks. But the situation. So we need to take this thing about hunger as a civil right and not a privilege. Being well-fed should be a civil right for all our kids and not a privilege. Yeah, okay, not to go hungry is a privilege. No. We need to, so that's how, again, I can see it. I guess that's working in so many different environments. Working in Ann Arbor where you could find a free lunch if you throw it out on the street. But you could go just down the street to Ypsilanti. So, so again, that's where my passion came from, is feeding kids and making sure hungry kids are treated with dignity. And school attendance goes up as well, because parents do send their kids to school to get a meal.
Mm-hmm. It's powerful. I have a question for you guys. So I'm a parent. I have 3 kids. You guys have done, all 3 of you actually. This is for all 3 of you. What is one piece of advice that you could give a parent who wants to make change in their school lunchroom, right? So I see what my kids eat they're brown baggers, by the way. But
First thing you need to change.
Me?
Yep. A food program cannot change if parents will consistently send brown bag to the school.
So perfect that I said that.
We rely, just if you think of a restaurant, I always use that metaphor. An empty seat is the most expensive thing a restaurant can have. A brown bagger is the most expensive thing a school food program has, because that robs revenue from the department, which then compounds the issue with not having the budget to get better food. So, and I remember attending PTOs when I first started in Minneapolis and going,
Parent-teacher organizations.
Parent-teacher organization, or PTA, parent-teacher, something else.
Association.
Thank you.
All with the same purpose.
Ambulances.
But I remember telling them, you're not going to like this, but I need you to send your kids to eat the food. I don't like the food we're serving, but I can't make changes unless you're behind me.
You're the driving force.
You're the driving force. Here's what we can do. And as a parent, you could say, perhaps salad bar is the first step you can do. Okay, that does not involve cooking.
Right.
It's fresh. And it involves farm to school. That's the best place to put it. But as a parent, you might not think of it. That is the biggest thing you can do, is send your kids to eat the school food.
That I would never know that. I would never even think about that.
And that little selfish thing. How many hours in your too busy day do you spend shopping?
Me?
Looking for packaging, deciding, honey, what do you want? What kind of sandwich do you want? How many hours do you have? I know you're a super mom and you're super.
Oh, you're sweet.
But how much time do you spend?
A lot.
Yeah. So guess what? Let Bertram and our ladies.
I'm going to outsource it. Is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
right? I'm
right. You and I'll tell you what else happens. One of the biggest barriers, I think, to participation too, is the amount of time the kids have to eat.
It's not a lot.
It's not. It's 15 minutes. And the other one that bothers me is how the younger kids eat earlier than the older kids. I think that's something that the parents can do something about. Parents can insist, when's the last time you went to lunch and your boss said, you got an hour lunch, but you only got 10 minutes to eat?
Oh my gosh, he shouldn't.
Or
He wouldn't.
when's the last time you went to eat somewhere and someone told you, now be quiet, don't talk to your
We'll
friends.
have a blowhorn.
Yeah, a blowhorn, yeah.
Quiet, not talking.
Well, and they pack lunch in with recess, and so the kids are hurrying
Oh,
through
so you
lunch
know what the
so
problem
they
is.
can go.
Oh, okay.
So they
So
can
now-
go to recess.
So
It's
now we have
yeah.
a task force. You've just organized the first task
One
force
You
woman.
do recess.
to make sure
do
kids have.
How it ever
demand
starts.
recess before lunch.
That's a great idea. We're
They
solving problems
They
here.
come in hungry, as opposed to her
Well-
throwing their food away to go play outside.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that's really important in that subject that parents need to understand, and I don't want to bring a controversial subject here, but
Bertram, what?
the teacher union has a huge factor into the time that is allowed in the lunchroom, because it is written in their contract that teachers need the time to themselves. And a lot of that is driven not by the principal, but by contracts.
The negotiations.
Or,
Interesting.
Or the number of minutes in between, or the buses. When they do a master schedule, when principals do a master schedule, the first thing they do is they lay down the bus route, the time the buses come. Then the teachers in their break period. Then that amount of hours that you have to have for the academic day. Oh, by the way, there's a little thing called lunch that 100% of the building participate in.
It fuels their bodies, their brains, all of it.
I want to talk about the civilizing children. Just what's the first thing you ask your child? If you pick your kid up, I don't care if you're on a car line or you're meeting your kid on the corner, and you look at him and you see him get off the bus, and you look at him and see he's all right. The first thing out of your mouth is, "Are you hungry?"
I do love to.
That's
feed
that
my
Maslow hierarchy of needs stuff.
Yes,
And
it
that's
is.
where we're at in that whole, if you believe in Maslow's hierarchy of need, in that whole pyramid, we're at that physical creature are you hungry? Because the kid can't do, kid's not. And so I know a lot of parents, where you go? I got to go get them something to eat. They'll calm down. Like, what? They didn't eat? Well, or to go in and say lunch is over and watch kids march to garbage cans. Because they did not have enough time to eat, and they did not have enough time to socialize. When you go to lunch with your friends and you've been at your desk banging away and everything, you want to find out. You even want to say, "God, you really look good today," or "What can we?" The kids don't have, and we can teach that socialization in the lunchroom. That's so important. That lunch is just not about giving calories to a healthy child, a hungry child should not learn. I think about the impact school lunch has on attendance. A hungry child cannot learn, but an absent child learns nothing. So we have to think about the impact that we have on school meals have on the whole child.
Has anyone done work on? I know people have talked about it, but made headway on the time spent in the cafeteria being counted as educational time, school minutes.
That they're working on it. And here's one thing I'll tell you about
Great question.
State of
That
Texas.
is. Yeah.
Like, who's doing that?
Yeah.
Texas. Woohoo!
No. This is not that they didn't fund it, but they got the right idea. We just came out with 3 new components to the education program. First is nutrition education. You must provide nutrition education. The next is physical activity. You must provide
What a
physical
concept.
activity. And the third one is, this will make your, it's local procurement of food.
This is new state.
This came, Senate Bill 25. Read it for yourself. I almost fell out of my loafers. Then I found out, well, it's not funded. So it's an unfunded mandate. But it's the right idea. It is the right idea. You'll never guess how it came about.
How?
You're going to tell us.
Make America healthy again.
That's right.
Texas.
Yeah. Go Texas.
Make America healthy again, Texas. And they were so proud. And it was bipartisan.
Nice
And
job.
when you get something bipartisan in the state of Texas, you done something.
Doing something
and
right.
then we started reading it and saying, well, wait a minute, where's the money? How are we going to? So it's an unfunded mandate. So, Texans are very loving, gargantuous kind of folk. They like to feel good. And then you go back and say, excuse me, where's the money? So they better cowboy up in the state in the state of Texas and find the money for what I think is the best bipartisan legislation I've seen in that state in a long time.
It would be such a great example for others, too. I mean,
Senate Bill 25, 3 components. They even talk about establishing a committee that, and I've already said make sure there's some school food folk on it because people don't realize we have 1,098 opportunities to eat a kid in a year. Multiplied by our available time. So we're very integral to that kid's his nourishment of that kid and also the things that he eat. We taught kids to eat salads and broccoli because we put it on our menus. Salad bars that they could reach. Not the one.
What an ingenious idea. So that it's right there for them, accessible.
Well, now I crushed our balloon. We got our photos taken. There's like so much stuff happening here. We're actually in the hallway of a vendor show for the National Farm to Cafeteria Conference. And there's a lot of people waving and winking and taking photos. And so I know.
Celeb moment here with you guys.
So I know Betti and Bertram got to get going to their next thing. So I just wanted to throw a lot of flowers at both of you.
Ditto.
Not only doing this work is a lot of effort because there's always another hill to climb, just every step you take. And knowing that farming is all about cultivating human beings.
Yes.
My experience in this work has been so enriched and made meaningful by knowing the two of you in very different ways. And knowing and connecting around our families and our lives. And over 20 years, a lot in life happens. So thank you, Betti. Thank you, Bertram. I'm throwing tons of flowers at you.
Can I say something else? Henry Ford Museum, Henry Ford Village, or Greenfield Village as I knew it, paid a lot of homage to farmers. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand that our small farmers, I'm not talking about our agri-farmers, I'm talking about our small farmers, are the most savvy businessmen that there has to be. Anybody that depends upon the sun, the moon, the stars,
The rain.
The weather.
and God's graces, and still to come back and do it year after year. We
great.
really have to appreciate those folks.
Yep.
So,
I love that. Well, thank you guys. This is
Thank
really
you.
a privilege.
This was fun. Just walking by the table.
I know. I love it.
goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We'd like to thank you so much for listening today. And thank you, Christy Sherding from the Henry Ford, for being our very special guest co-host.
Thanks, Christy. Farm to School was written, directed, and produced by Rick Sherman and Michelle Markiston with production support from Leanne Locker and Lauren Toby of Oregon State University. This podcast was made possible in part by a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture.
The content and ideas on the Farm to School podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Oregon State University or the United States Department of Agriculture. And both the USDA and Oregon State University are equal opportunity providers and employers.
Do you want to learn more about Farm to School?
Yes.
Check out other episodes, show notes, contact information, and much more by searching Farm to School Podcast OSU.
You know, I've been doing Farm to School my entire career for over 25 years, and there's always something more to learn about Farm to School. So definitely check out the other episodes.
There is. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Stop by the website we just talked about to say hello or give us an idea for a future podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.